Everything's a little bit behind because the computer restarted, so I'm restarting everything. We're not able to hear the mobs 'cause they're dying too far away. But I guess that I could say things here are going pretty okay. We're gonna open up the Twitch chat and the YouTube chat there too. Gonna open up the live event chat in Discord, woohoo. We're reading Moby Dick chapter 1, I'll eat Ahab and the Carpenter today. But we can't use any real music 'cause YouTube will throw a fit and the VOD will get thrown away. So we're gonna go ahead and add this to the Moby Dick playlist, lads. Click and save, okay. Dee 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 dee. Ba 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 ba. Minecraft save. Customization, live reactions off. Okay, let's go ahead and get the what we're reading pin pinned. What we're reading. What we're reading. Pinning that. Welcome, Get Ghosted Dudes. Setting that to this. Posting this. Wait, where's the chat? I can't see it. Pin message. Pop out this here chat. Open this in this window and swap this window with that. Da-da-da, live chat. Okay. Oh, okay. Windows just hid every window except for the one. I need to unplug this second keyboard. I think stuff is leaning on it and stuff is happening. Where is this keyboard even plugged in? Okay. Fallback keyboard from when I spilled my drink like 3 months ago, now unplugged. I've had too many weird mystery inputs. Brr, brr, brr. Okay. So. Bum 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 bum. La da da dun dun da da dun dun. Okay, so now we need to open the Discord. We need to reopen Moby Dick. Thanks, computer. I'm so glad that every time I try to do something, my operating system works against me. It makes me feel like Microsoft really cares. Okay, so if you've never seen a Joe Hill Saturday night stream before, they're set up a little bit different from all the other ones. We're going to be doing really grindy stuff in Minecraft while I try to read a novel. This isn't new Windows. This is, well, I mean, this is, anything past Win2K Pro is frustrating. They should have just stopped at Win2K Pro. Just keep adding drivers, but no new features, no changes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. We need to drop off a lot of nonsense. So while I was watching Herbie Fully Loaded last night, I got some more of this laid out. So this whole thing is kind of starting to come together on the inside here. But that's not a good thing to work on during a reading stream. We need to work on simpler things, right? So what we're going to do is we are going to dump everything in my inventory out. Okay, so let's get rid of all of these shulker boxes so that we can actually, like, read this book. Because we're not going to be able to read this book if our inventory is full of shulkers, right? So, yeah, we're just going to come around here. Pale forest resources, box and copper, gravel, terracotta, nom 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 noms. Actually, the nom 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 box probably should actually go into the ender chest, so we have it for later. Welcome, RET. Glad you could join us. We have not started the reading yet. We are in the process of setting up to do the reading. We are working on everything. I'll be setting up the stream now all the livelong day. I'll be setting up the stream now just to pass the time away. Do you hear the whistle blowing? Bum 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 bum. Dun 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 dun. Okay, so we put the nom 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 box away without actually refilling our food. And let's also grab more rockets before we get into the reading, because those are hard to replenish mid-chapter. Okay. We're going to pull out the fresh tools. Only the finest tools for this project. Okay. Midnight Meow 10 says, listen to your Impersonate podcast while working last week. It was fun. Thank you. Okay, so this is what we actually have to clear out, is this over here. This is the real nightmare. And I'm realizing I also need to bring a beacon. Maybe 2 over. Do I have a... Yeah, okay, so we need to relocate 2 beacons to over here from the far side. By Gary Lorson. Hey, Jen K, enjoy your lurking. Frankie Lou says, I'm going to use this as banjo practice time. Moby Dick and banjo feel like they're meant to go together. Probably not, but I mean, I don't think they're meant to. But I feel like part of what's exciting about being human, which is a totally normal human way to pronounce our species we share, is that you have the agency to decide what you want to mash up. You can make that call. Okay, yeah, so we're not digging out anything remotely near here right now. So we're going to pull these both. Yeah, see, that's the thing, is if it feels right in your heart, you can make it happen. It doesn't matter what the universe thinks, it matters what you think. If you're gonna make some art or perform something, sometimes you just gotta follow your own dream. Okay, so... surplus glass is definitely not over here. Which is... slightly, deeply disappointing. Is there some over here in this pile? Oh, hey, yeah, let's put our wallet back in there before we lose it. Glass. Okay, yeah. Let's, we're gonna take the glass with us. Well, let's actually grab one of each of these first, but... Hey, I got my green screen now. I'm in slot 9, putting the hot in the hot bar. Oh, it doesn't show up very well. Now it does. Hi. Why is there a delay there? Is Folding at Home running? Because the computer restarted. Folding at Home probably restarted. Yeah. I was like, if the camera's hitching, that means Folding at Home is running. Okay. So let's see. In these 2 beacon places... Okay, we've got yellow, green, purple. let's just put a purple on it. And what I did not keep out here was extra of anything. I can use emeralds to power these, huh? Okay, so now we have haste over here. Jason says, saw Beast's newest episode, saw the TCG shop's coming along. Can't wait for TCG to make its big comeback this year. Me either. I am super hyped for that myself. I've worked on that for a long time this season with the help of so many other fantastic hermits. But yeah, I am ready to just hang out and play some games and get back to working on my own projects. Which is part of why we're going to be over here mining tonight, because we got a lot of mining to do for this Hermit Homedale project. You know, I kept saying, like, you know, we need to open this before the mid to late season. And luckily the season keeps dragging on, so I'm not late yet. But it would be better if we got this open soon. So, okay. Let's do other notes that I need to share with the chat. Let's put my hat on, because I don't want to do that in the middle of a chapter. Other things I won't do in the middle of a chapter. I don't always read tips in the middle of the chapter, so if you tip, doesn't mean I didn't get it. It just means that you might have to wait until the end of the chapter for me to acknowledge that. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Welcome back, Amber Witch. Don't worry about it. We're here to have fun, not stress out. Get Ghosted Dudes, welcome. I'm excited about the TCG cards arriving in the mail, too. Okay, I've just chugged my entire glass of water. I forgot to get my soda. 1 second. Getting up and walking across the room. Okay. It has been a busy day today. Okay. So, let's see what we got here. So our big thing for today is going to be working on mining that out. We probably are going to have to create some more chests or barrels on the fly to fill in some of that. Because these ones here are already looking kind of full. That one's kind of empty, at least. That's something. Oh, that was the coal one. I guess we can put coal in there to make it actually demonstrate what it's supposed to hold. Okay. So, I think we are ready to get going here on stream. Okay. Has everybody... Let me verify that what we're reading links are in. Kai for M yells, whale time, whale time. Frankie Lou says, I just got shipping confirmation for my cards. I'm so excited to play with friends who also bought decks. Oh, that reminds me! Big news. If you want to come to... If you're in the Tennessee area and want to play TCG with me, Tennessee Game Day Spring just launched. I'm not a formal guest of the convention. I bought a badge like everybody else, so I'm not going to have a booth or whatever. I'm just going to be hanging out, playing games, and signing cards. March 28th through 30th in the Franklin Marriott Cool Springs. Not technically in Nashville. If you're flying in, though, you'll fly into the Nashville airport. I've been going to Tennessee Game Days for, like, probably over a decade now. I don't know. A long time. It's always a fun time. Let me check the Discord to see. I know at least one member of my Discord has signed up. Up. Excuse me. Let me see if anybody else has. Boy, I'm bad at reading my own Discord. Oh, here it is. Yes. NJ says, I would have gone, but we have a wedding that weekend. No worries, NJ. Enjoy your wedding. But yeah, Tennessee Game Days usually sells out pretty quick. So if you're interested in going, I would recommend making the decision in the next 3 to 7 days. It used to sell out almost the same day back before the pandemic, and it's selling out faster and faster every time, but I don't have a good gauge of how quickly it's going to sell out this time, since it's, you know, different. Okay. This next one... Oh, gosh, this chapter is so weirdly structured. Are you guys seeing this? Yeah, this is not NashCon. This is a different event. Okay. So, this is written almost like a play. Except it doesn't have clear... it doesn't make it clear necessarily who's talking. So this is a weirdly structured... chapter. And... boy. I feel like the computer is still chugging a little bit on the frame rate, but maybe that's just because folding was open earlier. Let me just double check some stuff. Task manager, performance. Is there like a Chrome tab or something that's just eating my CPU? CPU is at 100%. Why? Why is CPU at 100%? Because folding at home didn't pause. Okay. I thought I had paused folding, but I hadn't. Interesting. Okay. There we go. Yes, now we're set. Okay. So, now let's, much smoother. So we need to clear out a good portion of gestures broadly today. And somehow I have lost my... Oh my gosh. Okay. I feel like we're getting ready to go. I'm so glad there's going to be a VOD of this. Oh, it's just been a busy day today, and I need a few minutes to switch gears. Evening, Wanderer Mask. We are just about to start reading chapter 108 of Moby Dick or the Whale by Herman Melville. I'm making sure that I've got everything set up. We just paused folding, and I posted the tipping link, yes. And I posted the Tennessee Game Days link, which, Wandering Mask, if you're anywhere in the Nashville area, that is the next board gaming and card gaming event that I'm going to be signing TCG cards at. Okay, Get Ghosted Dude says, I know nothing about Moby Dick, so this is going to be pretty fun. Just for everybody who is coming in, let's do the quick Moby Dick intro. This is a weird book that's not technically science fiction, but does the best job of anticipating the invention of the internet that I've ever seen. Basically, the entire book is structured like this guy Ishmael came up to you at a party and is trying to tell you about this time that everybody back home was a bunch of phonies and super racist. And so he decided to go to sea to hang out with people from all over the world on a whale ship. But he can't just tell you about the whale ship and the time he spent there, because he's constantly looking things up so that he can go down these rabbit holes where he explains very fine details about like every single part of how a whale ship works and how all the different places they visit have different types of economies, and like it's an experience mixed in with this Wikipedia rabbit hole cell phone party guy story is also a bunch of random chapters that are basically Ishmael being like, oh, and by the way, I got in an argument with some people about which whales are the best, and so I ranked them, and here's my ranking system, and I also include in each ranking of a whale why a specific person who likes that type of whale is wrong. So it's got like a Flame War forum posts as well, where he's just straight up calling out biologists who are real biologists of the era and marine biologists. He's just like, and now I'm going to trash this marine biologist. Now I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to do that. It is all over the place. So if you're like, I don't really know what's going on in this story right now, let me catch you up. They're on a whale ship. Ahab, the captain of the whale ship, got his leg bitten off by a whale named Moby Dick. And they are on their way to find Moby Dick, who is a whale, somewhere in one of the oceans. Sperm whales travel all of the oceans. And so, while this whale ship goes and basically does its normal job, they are also hunting Moby Dick in particular. Ahab has just broken his whalebone leg, his prosthetic leg. And so in this next chapter, the carpenter and Ahab are going to have a conversation while the carpenter prepares him a new leg. However, because Melville is bonkers and has to do everything weird, he's basically structured this entire next chapter like a made-up conversation in a fanfic. And it's weird. It's a weird way to do it. He's like, I wanted to write a play, but I'm writing a novel, so I just wrote a play in my novel. And this is what I think the captain said to the carpenter. I couldn't hear the whole thing, but here's my impression of their conversation. There's a lot of stuff, because this is a story told in the first person. There's a lot of stuff that Ishmael doesn't directly witness, but it's just like, I heard from some of the other guys that this is roughly what was said, right? But for some reason, this next conversation, he's decided, like, I'm just going to make an entire play out of it. Whatever. It's fine. Simple Guy says, what age group do you recommend reading this book? I don't know. What are the age groups? I know there's dairy and fats and sugars. I think there's a vegetable group, a fruit group, and a grain group. I mean, I guess any of those. I don't really know. I'm not an expert in grouping things. Taxonomy is not my expertise. I'm sorry. I'm really bad at grouping things. Grouping things, ranking things, this is all bad for me. But hey, we got a tip rolling in. Let's see who it's from. It's from Mellow Moogle, who tips 5 and says, thank you for your service by regaling us with this whale of a tale. We are indeed about to get into the novel. I'm just kind of giving everybody who has not been here a quick recap of the story so far. Okay, so Get Ghosted Dude says, Moby Dick actually sounds hilarious and insane. Yeah, okay, so here's the other thing. Is like in one of the recent chapters that we read like last week or the week before, we found out from this other captain that like this other captain who had gotten his arm bit off by Moby Dick was telling Ahab that they had captured or they had, like, speared a female whale and were gonna try and kill her. And Moby Dick shows up out of nowhere and bites their lines in half and bites off the guy's arm. And so, like, this entire book up to this point, we've been told that Moby Dick is, like, this menace that is just, like, just this incredibly cruel, mean whale. But all of a sudden, we roll in to this guy's experience with Moby Dick, and it's like, oh, wait, and he's also Batman. Like whale ships that just, oh, okay, wow, we got a whale. Just, oh, okay, we got this one in the bag, no problem. You know, before they could kill it, Moby Dick just shows up out of nowhere like Batman and beats you over the head with, you know, a batarang or something. Like, yeah. So, you know, which opens up this whole other thing, like, this whole book is bonkers. Should teenagers read this? Well, the word "this" is only 4 letters, so if their elementary, middle, and high school education has not completely failed them, then probably. Or do you mean your comment in the YouTube chat? You have to be at least a teenager to be in the YouTube chat. Only, yeah, 13 and up in the YouTube chat. Otherwise, you'll get banned. Also, don't joke about being under 13, because I have to ban you, or YouTube will, like, punish me. So that's why we don't talk about our ages in chat. Because every time somebody posts their age in chat, somebody else goes, I'm 11, and then I have to ban them. And don't even jokingly post that, because I still have to ban you. Good evening, banana. Glad you could join us. We are just about to read chapter 108 of Moby Dick, Ahab and the Carpenter. Now, the voice I've been using for Ahab is basically a slightly more charismatic, cult leadery version of my own voice. For the Carpenter hasn't spoken yet in our reading, so I don't have a voice set aside for him. I'm probably gonna do something craftsman-y feeling. I don't know, I'm just gonna follow my heart on that. For the stage directions, though, I think I'm gonna use the far too serious voice that I used for Jonathan Harker's Journal and Dracula, and we'll see who else shows up in this chapter. Shout out to Brazil, Will.i.am Melchior. But yeah. So, just as a reminder, tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Am I indeed reading the book while mining? How? With my eyes. But basically, I start out by saying, like, Chapter 108, Ahab and the Carpenter. The deck. First night watch. Carpenter standing before his vice bench, and by the light of 2 lanterns busily filing the ivory joist for the leg, which joist is firmly fixed in the vice. Slabs of ivory, leather straps, pads, screws, and various tools of all sorts lying about the bench. Forward, the red flame in the forge is seen, where the blacksmith is at work. Dray at the file and dray at the bone. This is hard which should be soft, and that is soft which should be hard. So we go. Who file old jaws and shin bones? Let's try another. Now this works better. How this bone dust is. Why? Yeah. Oh, bless my soul, it won't let me speak. This is what an old fella gets now for working in dead lumber. Saw a live tree and you don't get this dust. Amputate a live bone and you don't get... Come, you old smut. Bare hand, let's have that ferrule and umbilical screw. I'll be ready for him presently. Looking out. There's no knee joint to make, so that might puzzle a little. But a mere shin bone, why, it's as easy as making hot poles. Only now as I ever scraped to a lady in a parlor. Those buckskin legs and calves of legs I've seen in shop windows won't compare at all. They soak water, they do, and of course get rheumatic, and have to be doctored with washes and lotions, just like live legs. There. before I saw it off now. I must call this old mogul ship and see whether the length will be all right. Too short, if anything, I guess. That's the hill. We are in luck. Here he comes. Or it's somebody else. That's certain. Ahab, advancing. During the ensuing scene, the carpenter continues sneezing at times. Well, man-maker. Just in time, sir. If the captain pleases, I shall now mark the length. Let me measure, sir. Measured for a leg. Good. Well, it's not the first time. About it there. Keep thy finger on it. This is a cogent vice thou has, dear carpenter. Let me feel its grip once. So, it does pinch some. Oh, sir, it will break bones. Beware, beware. No fear. I like a good grip. I like to feel something in this slippery world that can hold man. What's Prometheus about there? The blacksmith, I mean. What's he about? He must be forging the buckle screw now, sir. Right. It's a partnership. He supplies the muscle part. He makes a fierce red flame there. Aye, sir, he must have the white heat for this kind of fine work. So he must. I do deem it now a most meaning thing. That old Greek Prometheus, who made men, they say, should have been a blacksmith and animated them with fire. For what's made in fire must properly belong to fire. And so, hell's probable. How the soot flies! This must be the remainder the Greek made. Wow, that's a bit racist. We're going to skip that part. Carpenter, when he's through with that buckle, tell him to forge a pair of steel shoulder blades. There's a peddler aboard with a crushing pack. Sir? Hold, while Prometheus is about it, I'll order a complete man after a desirable pattern. Imprimis, 50 feet high in his socks, then chest modeled after the Thames Tunnel, then legs with roots to 'em to stay in one place, then arms, 3 feet through the wrist, no heart at all, brass forehead, and about 1/4 acre of fine brains, and let me see, shall I order eyes to see outwards? No. Put a skylight on top of his head to illuminate inwards. There. Take the order. And away. Okay, I try not to do too many asides. We occasionally have to do them when there's some racist stuff in here. Now, I do believe that one of the reasons that this book has merit is I think that Melville generally was pro-equality. He writes a lot about how basically, from Ishmael's point of view, a lot of the people back home can't appreciate the so-called savages that he works with every day. And that, these quote-unquote savages are just as good as all the Protestants I've ever met, if not better. That sort of thing. But the thing is, he's still writing, Melville's still writing about his time period, and so some of the characters are definitely going to say things that are more racist than others. So, yeah, Ahab had a line there that I skipped because I was just like, yeah, we don't need that. That's going to happen from time to time. Also, I'm going to take a second to point out that immediately after that part, Ahab basically described, I should commission the blacksmith to build me a mecha. I want a Megazord. And I want it to have a skylight. I want a Megazord with a skylight, please. Once again, this is the most science fiction book that's not actually science fiction. Okay, that is really... This is the sort of stuff people are like, I don't have time to read the full Moby Dick. I'll read the abridged version. You know what gets cut out in the abridged version of Moby Dick? Ahab basically just musing to himself about designing a mecha. That's the sort of stuff where they're like, oh, this part where he's like describes building a giant robot that people could go inside. Yeah, we don't We don't need that. That doesn't really advance the plot. That is the book! The book is all of this bonkers stuff that doesn't... Like, why? Why in 1851 was Herman Melville thinking, you know, this whaling ship captain should invent mechs? It doesn't matter. That's just what's happening. That's what this book is. Right? This whole book is full of these little weird asides and stuff. Just like... That's just like... What? What? Why? Why? Why are we... Why is this what we're doing now? I don't know, but this is what we're doing now. Is kind of how the whole book goes. So, yeah. I just wanted to comment. I try not to cut in too much in the middle of chapters to editorialize, like I said. But in this particular case, there were two particular things right on top of each other, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is... I'm gonna jump in here. I'm gonna jump in here, because, yeah, wow. Okay. So we are going to swing back by this one, which has that coal box, and we're gonna move all that coal up here to make room. Okay. And it looks like another tip rolled in. We're gonna acknowledge that. 2 more tips just rolled in. First off, we have another 5 from Wandering Mask, who says, delighted to be catching another Moby Dick stream. Thank you for reading. And then in the YouTube chat, Kevin Zuckley tips 20, who says, I do appreciate the amount of work you're putting into this project. I've done a 256 by 256 dig to bedrock, and I know it's like to put in 8 hours and feel like you're barely closer to your goal. Well, that gets us $10 past our next phase camera expansion milestone. So please direct your attention down here to slot 9, where I'm putting the hot in the hot bar, so I can say, howdy, y'all. Grow Hills here, expanding as I always do in Nashville, Tennessee. D-da-dee-da-dee, D-da-dee-da-dee, And then, let's see. I mean, I don't really feel like I'm barely closer to my goal. Every time I spend 2 hours on this, or 8 hours or whatever, it's like, well, I read a book, I hang out with some cool people, and I got some stuff done. Like, I'm not exactly flying toward completing this in a rapid-fire manner, but I enjoy the time I'm spending on it. I've gone out of my way to structure this grind so that it would be enjoyable for me. ZG Lib says, that's the key to making it manageable. Exactly. You know, you got to find things that you're excited about the end result of, but that you're also excited about the journey of. And so I've structured this so both the end result is going to be cool, and the journey to that end result is going to be enjoyable, you know? Doge Lover says, I can't believe you can read this well while mining. I mean, I'm not doing a good job of mining. I'm just basically spray and praying with a diamond pickaxe. So, yeah, I couldn't do, like, redstone or complex inventory management or a million other things. But, yeah. Digging a hole while reading, that I can do. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, so he just described building a 50-foot tall robot, and we're gonna move on, because that's just how this book is. Okay. Now, what's he speaking about? That's the carpenter voice. The Ahab voice is the more upbeat, cheerful, charismatic leader voice. Now, what's he speaking about? And who's he speaking to? I should like to know. Shall I keep standing here? 'Tis but indifferent architecture to make a blind dome. Here's one. No, I must have a lantern. Ho, ho, sir, that's it. Hey, here are 2, sir. One will serve my turn. What art thou thrusting that thief-catcher into my face for? Thrusted light is worse than presented pistols. I thought, sir, that you spoke to the carpenter. Carpenter, why's that? But no, very tidy, and I may say an extremely gentlemanlike sort of business thou art in here, carpenter. Or wouldst thou rather work in clay? Sir, clay? Clay, sir? That's mud. I feel like I've lost the... I had like a nasal southern twang for the carpenter earlier, and I've lost it somehow. Hold on. Sir? 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 Clay, sir? That's mud. We leave clay to ditchers, sir. I feel like I've gone even further mid-Atlantic with this. You know what? This is... The accents are gonna drift. We're just gonna... I feel like I had kind of an old-timey craftsman voice that, like, I was nailing. Part of the goal of this, too, is this is just me practicing different voices for a while. The difference between this and an actual book on tape is an actual book on tape doesn't have a bunch of asides from the person going like, boy, I wish I was better at doing funny voices. That's why I'm recording this. Welcome, Cosmic Eclipse. It was like a Colorado West, almost gold minery voice. Yeah. There are, yeah, more like this, I think. Yeah, this sounds a little bit closer to where I was. Because it's still a little bit like nasal, but it's more twangy, you know? It's not all out there in the Atlantic, it's more further west. There we go. Okay, so let me figure out where we were. Sir? Clay, sir? That's mud. We leave clay to ditchers, sir. The fellow's impious. What are you sneezing about? Pone is rather dusty, sir. Take the hint, then, and when thou art dead, never bury thyself under living people's noses. Sir? I guess so. Oh, dear. Look, ye carpenter, I dare say thou callest thyself a right good workman-like workman, eh? Well, then, will it speak thoroughly well for thy work, if, when I come to mount this leg thou makest, I shall nevertheless feel another leg in the same identical place with it? That is, carpenter, my old lost leg, the flesh and bone one. I mean, canst thou not drive that old Adam away? Truly, sir, I begin to understand somewhat now. Yes, I have heard something curious on that score, sir. How that a dismasted man never entirely loses the feeling of his old spar, but it will still prickling him at times be. May I humbly ask if it be really so, sir? It is, man. Look, put thy live leg here in the place where mine once was. So here, now, there's only one distinct leg to the eye, yet two to the soul. Where thou feelest tingling life, there, exactly hair, there to a hair do I. Is it a riddle? I should humbly call it a poser, sir. Hist, then. How dost thou know that some entire living, thinking thing may not be invisibly and uninterpenetratingly standing precisely where thou now standest, aye, and standing there in thy spite, in thy most solitary hours then, dost thou not fear eavesdroppers? Hold, don't speak. And if I still feel the smart of my crushed leg, though it be now so long dissolved, then why mayest not thou, carpenter, feel the fiery pains of hell forever, and without a body? Huh? Good Lord! Truly, sir, if it comes to that, I must calculate over again. I think I didn't carry a small figure, sir. Look ye, Pudding heads should never grant premises. How long before the leg is done? Perhaps an hour, sir. Bungle away at it then, and bring it to me. Turns to go. Oh, life. Here I am, proud as a Greek god, and yet standing debtor to this blockhead for a bone to stand on. Cursed be that mortal indebtedness which will not do away with ledgers. I would be free as air, and I'm down in the whole world's books. I am so rich I could have given bid for bid with the wealthiest praetorians at the auction of the Roman Empire, which was the world's. And yet I owe for the flesh in the tongue I brag with. By heavens, I'll get a crucible, and into it, and dissolve myself down into one small compendious vertebra. So, carpenter, resuming his work. Well. Stubb knows him best of all, and Stubb always says it's queer, but says nothing but that one sufficient little word. Queer. He's queer, says Stubb. He's queer, and keeps dinning into it. Mr. Starbuck all the time. Queer, sir. Queer, very queer. And here's his leg. Yes, now that I think of it, here's his bedfellow. Has a stick of whale's jawbone for a wife, and this is his leg. He'll stand on this. What was that now about one leg standing in 3 places, and all 3 places standing in hail? How was that? I don't wonder he looked so scornful at me. I'm a sort of strange-thoughted sometimes, they say, but that's only haphazard like. Then a short little old body like me should never undertake to wade out into deep waters with tall, heron-built captains. The water chucks you under the chin pretty quick, and there's a great cry for lifeboats. And here's the heron's leg, long and slim, sure enough. Now, for most folks, one pair of legs lasts a lifetime, and that must be because they use them mercifully, as a tender-hearted old lady uses her old roly-poly coach horses. But Ahab, oh, he's a hard driver. Look, driven one leg to death, and spavined the other for life. Now wears out bone legs by the cord. Hello there, you smut. Bear a hand there with those screws. Let's finish before the resurrection fella comes a-calling with his horn for all legs, true or false, as brewery men go round collecting old beer barrels to fill 'em up again. What a leg is this? It looks like a real alive leg, filed down to nothing but the core. He'll be standing on this tomorrow. He'll be taking altitudes on it. Hello. Almost forgot about little oval slate, smooth ivory, where he figures up the latitude. Soap, chisel, file, and sandpaper now. This chapter is especially oddly written, like fanfic, says Mellow Moogle. Yeah, it's like what somebody's like, hey, this is for one of the people who's reading this really likes mechs, so I'm gonna have a chapter where Ahab talks about how he would ask Prometheus to design him a mech. Welcome, Linksy Raiders. We are reading Moby Dick. As I've been telling people, this is the most science fiction book that is not science fiction. It's ostensibly about Captain Ahab, who's obsessed with hunting down the whale that ate his leg. However, the whole book is structured like you're at a party and this guy Ishmael comes up to you. Hold on. I'll be Ishmael. This guy Ishmael comes up to you and he's like, basically he's just like Holden Caulfield from 1850. And he's like, oh my gosh, I'm from New England, and everybody there is so Protestant and so white and so phony that I decided to go on a whale ship and meet real people, but you don't know about whale ships. Let me tell you about whale ships. And then, here's the science fiction part. The whole thing is basically written like he's telling you about his adventure while looking stuff up on his phone. Like, there's an entire chapter where he says, so we were standing on the mast. Now, you might be imagining a crow's nest. The invention of John Crow from this town in this area. And he goes into a whole chapter describing the crow's nest and then ends the chapter with, but that's not what we have on whale ships. We just have a board nailed to the mast and we stand on it and hold on. And he spends a whole chapter. He spends a whole chapter on that. But anyway, so it's like somebody is like going down a Wikipedia rabbit hole while trying to tell you this story. And some of the chapters, though, instead of being Wikipedia rabbit hole chapters, are like forum posts, or this last one was kind of like fanfic because it was a conversation that he couldn't have heard. And so, like, at one point, Ahab is waiting for the carpenter on the ship to make him a new leg. And he starts describing, he's like, I wish I could have Prometheus himself make me a new leg. But if I was going to have Prometheus make me anything. And then he goes on to describe a 50-foot mech. He basically just is like in 1850, Herman Melville invented, like, what is it called? Is it, what's that thing like Power Rangers is? Where you've got, like the huge mech. Yeah, he basically, like, Ahab just, basically spent a paragraph describing a Gundam or a mech or whatever that he would have Prometheus make him. And the carpenter is just like, sir, what are you talking about? And it's just nothing, I'm just thinking while I wait for my new leg. It's just like, what? Why? What? I don't remember. Like, yeah, sir, this is Wendy's. Yeah, this is Moby Dick. We're reading Moby Dick while we're doing grindy tasks in Minecraft. So anyway, yeah, Ahab wants a Jaeger from Pacific Rim, basically. Grumpy Star Raccoon in the YouTube chat says, what is your Minecraft skin? A lot of people draw you as a Muppet. I'm supposed to be a Juppet. It's a Joe puppet. Yay. See my mouth? My tongue is on top of my torso. And my teeth are on the bottom of my head. See, that's how it works. Okay. So, yeah. So that's what that is. Also, things people in the stream or in the raid that just came in might not realize. Well, for one thing, we just finished chapter 108. So between chapters is when I repair my gear or grumble about not having repairable gear. I swap out my tools. Yeah, so we might need to go by the Ender at some point. But for right now, I think we're okay. Because, I mean, that's 54 durability is plenty. Jason says, I never noticed you have teeth. Yeah, of course I do. That's where my mouth talks. Okay, so how are we on daylight? Suns and noon. Okay. So the way it works is... I'll read a chapter, and then we kind of discuss the chapter. You guys came in just as I concluded the chapter, so we haven't actually had the chat talk about it yet. Does anybody have any thoughts about the chapter before we move on to 109? Just as a reminder, I only acknowledge tips kind of between chapters. I don't like to interrupt in the middle of a sentence or a paragraph for them. Usually I'll try and get to the end of the chapter or a natural break in the chapter. We are currently $10 away from the next Face Gamer expansion milestone by my abacus. Linksy, I hope you had a fantastic stream. What did you get up to? Were you playing Minecraft? Oh yeah, he was also discussing phantom limb sensations and how he's just like, I can still feel my limb even though it's been eaten by this whale. And so this makes me believe that hell is real. Because I used to think, how could you be tortured forever if you didn't have a body? But even though that part of my body is gone, I can still feel it. And so we're both going to burn in hell forever, and we're going to feel it the whole time. And the carpenter's just like, wait, what? Sir? Yeah, it's really metal. Yeah, what a takeaway. Yeah, and he also talks about how, like, Yeah, there's also a thing where Ahab is like, if I can feel my leg here, even though it's not here, how do I know there aren't people that I can't see that are just following me around all the time? And he doesn't, like, go out of his way to name drop Ro Laren and Geordie LaForge and that one Romulan guy from the episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where they're out of phase. But, like, he basically describes that scenario. It's just like, there could be people here, like, that we can't see. Like, they're wherever my leg is. Linksy says, this place is looking awesome as always. Good to see the progress. You're building a theater for plays today. Excellent. LED says, imagine a guy hires you for a carpentry job, and this is the conversation he has with you. The thing is, though, too, this is the captain of the ship. This is the boss. You know? This is like the CEO of your company coming down to your office to ask you to do something, some specific task for him as a favor, and then just, like, rambling. And the whole time you're just like, boy, I know the rich really are different, but, like, is this also mushrooms? Like, what is going on here? Ahab sounds like he's having a normal time. Yeah. Yeah, this whole book. Yeah, this whole book is just so bizarre. Kevin just tipped 10 and says, do you talk politics? I understand if you don't. It depends on whether or not they're on topic, Kevin. But here we go. Please direct your attention to the lower left because we are about to expand, Joe. Because that just got us to our next face camera expansion milestone. The next time it will be explicitly on topic is this Monday. I have a special guest coming on the stream who is actually a political researcher, a legislation researcher named Allison Chapman, who built the legyalerts.org legislation tracker, which is a series of scripts that checks the websites for all the different legislations around the country, like, the State House of Wyoming, State House of Tennessee, all those, and looks for bills that are specifically impacting trans Americans and residents of the United States. And so we are going to have a conversation with legislative researcher and trans rights activist Allison Chapman this Monday on my 8:30 p.m. stream. That's an hour earlier than right now, but on Monday. So, yeah, we'll definitely be having a political discussion that evening. And, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But, yeah, in general, if somebody rolls in when we're in the middle of talking about Moby Dick and has something that's completely unrelated, I'm going to say it's not really the time for that, Cosmic Eclipse says that website has been very informative for me. LED says I'm going to try and make that stream. Thank you. I hope you come. It should be a good time. But yeah, I'm really lucky that Allison was able to make time to join me on the stream. Because, it's important to help people find ways to contribute to creating a more just society in whatever capacity they have available to them. And so having somebody on the show who's keeping up with what's going on all over the country right now can help inform individual viewers about what opportunities exist for them to get involved wherever they're at and things like that. Learning about how tools like legalerts, scripts and stuff were written might be helpful for some people that are more tech-minded to think about ways to apply those skills in that way. I think it should be a really great stream. So yeah, Kevin, that was a great question. But yeah, so technically, the answer is, yeah, we talk about politics when it's on topic, and sometimes it is on topic. Monday is our next big political night. This evening, more of a Moby Dick night. Alrighty. So yeah, I hope that some of y'all go ahead and swing back by Monday night for that. Let's go ahead. I think it's time to move on to chapter 109. Ahab and Starbuck in the cabin. So what we're going to do is we need to update the pinned link for what we're reading to reflect that we are now on chapter 109. So I'm going to post that in both chats here. Pin message. Pin message. Okay. Stu, my guy, says, Ahab describes the phantom limb the same way I describe looking for the matching wet sock when I'm doing laundry. Fair enough, Stu. Cosmic Eclipse says, I'll definitely try to make it on Monday. Excellent. I hope you do. I really want this to be not just a lecture and an interview, but also, you know, a discussion. We're going to be keeping an eye on questions from the chat. I'm going to have Queen Dark Lady helping to moderate as well. So, yeah. Should be a good time. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 109. Ahab and Starbuck in the cabin. We have gone back in this next chapter to traditional quotation marks after, for some reason, just not having any quotation marks at all last chapter. This is just Melville being Melville. Let's go. According to usage, they were pumping the ship the next morning, and lo, no inconsiderable oil came up with the water. The casks below must have sprung a bad leak. Much concern was shown, and Starbuck went down into the cabin to report this unfavorable affair. In sperm whalemen with any considerable quantity of oil on board, it is a regular semi-weekly duty to conduct a hose into the hold and drench the cask with seawater, which afterwards, at varying intervals, is removed by the ship's pumps. Hereby, the casks are sought to be kept damply tight, while by the changed character of the withdrawn water, the mariners readily detect any serious leakage in the precious cargo. Now, from the south and west, the Pequod was drawing nigh to Formosa and the Bashy Isles, between which lies one of the tropical outlets from the China waters into the Pacific. And so, Starbuck found Ahab with a general chart of the Oriental archipelagos spread before him, and another separate one representing the long eastern coasts of the Japanese islands, Nippon, Matsumai, and Shikoku. With his snow-white new ivory leg braced against the screwed leg of the table, and with a long pruning hook of a jackknife in his hand, the wondrous old man, with his back to the gangway door, was wrinkling his brow and tracing his old courses once again. "Who's there?" Hearing the footstep at the door, but not turning round to it. "On deck! Begone!"
Captain Ahab mistakes. It is I. The oil in the hold is leaking, sir. We must up Burton's and break out.
Up Burton's and break out? Now that we are nearing Japan? Heave to here for a week to tinker for a parcel of old hoops?
Either do that, sir, or waste in one day more oil than we make in a good year. What if we come 20,000 miles? What we come 20,000 miles to get is worth saving, sir.
So it is, if we get it.
I was speaking of the oil in the hold, sir.
And I was not speaking or thinking of that at all. Be gone. Let it leak. I'm all a leak myself. Aye, leaks and leaks. Not only full of leaky casks, but those leaky casks are in a leaky ship, and that's a far worse plight than the Pequod's, man. Yet I don't stop to plug my leak, for who can find it in the deep-loaded hull, or how hope to plug it even if found in this life's howling gale? Starbuck, I'll not have the Burtons hoisted.
What'll the owners say, sir?
Let the owners stand on the Nantucket beach and out-yell the typhoons. What cares Ahab? Owners, owners, thou art always prating to me, Starbuck, about those miserly owners, as if the owners were my conscience. But look ye, the only real owner of anything is its commander. And hark ye, my conscience is this ship's keel. On deck,
Captain Ahab,
said the reddening mate, moving further into the cabin with a daring so strangely respectful and cautious that it almost seemed not only every way seeking to avoid the slightest outward manifestation of itself, but within also seemed more than half distrustful of itself.
a better man than I might well pass over in the what he would quickly enough resent in a younger man. And in a happier, Captain Ahab.
Devils, dost thou then so much as dare to critically think of me on deck?
Nay, sir, not yet. I do entreat, and I do dare, sir, to be forbearing. Shall we not understand each other better than hitherto? Captain Ahab.
Ahab seized a loaded musket from the rack, forming part of most South Seamen's cabin furniture, and, pointing it toward Starbuck, exclaimed, "There is one God that is Lord o'er the earth, and one captain that is Lord o'er the quad. On deck." For an instant, in the flashing eyes of the mate and his fiery cheeks, you would have almost thought that he had really received the blaze of the leveled tube. But, mastering his emotion, he, half calmly, rose, and as he quitted the cabin, paused for an instant and said,
Thou hast outraged, not insulted me, sir. But for that, I ask thee not to beware of Starbuck. Thou wouldst laugh. But let Ahab beware of Ahab. Beware of thyself, old man.
"He waxes brave, but nevertheless obeys. Most careful bravery that," murmured Ahab as Starbuck disappeared. "What's that?" he said. "Ahab, beware of Ahab." Huh. There's something there. Then, unconsciously, using the musket for a staff, with an iron brow he paced to and fro in the little cabin. But presently the thick plates of his forehead relaxed, and returning the gun to the rack, he went to the deck. "Thou art but too good a fella, Starbuck," he said lowly to the mate, then raising his voice to the crew. "Furl the topgallant sails and close reef the topsails fore and aft, back the mainyard, up Burton, break out in the main hold." It were perhaps vain to surmise exactly why it was that, as respected Starbuck, Ahab thus acted. It may have been a flash of honesty in him, or mere prudential policy which, under the circumstance, imperiously forbade the slightest symptom of open disaffection, however transient, in the important chief officer of his ship. However, his orders were executed, and the Burtons were hoisted. And that concludes chapter 109 of Moby Dick, or The Whale, by Herman Melville. Hey, we got another tip rolling in. Let's go ahead and thank Kevin Zuckley for another 20, who says, "I was thinking about asking your thoughts on what our new president has done. I get it if you don't want to talk about it." I mean, there's a huge list of things he's done that would take many hours to fill. And like I said, I'm dedicating 2 of those hours on the Monday night stream to talking about one particular part of his agenda. And if that experiment goes well, I might have other guests on in the future to discuss other elements. But I am not prepared to have that conversation right now from a research standpoint or a presentation standpoint. So, yeah. Basically, I do have strong feelings, and I will be sharing them, but this is not the stream for that. So, yep. It's a fair question, though. Wandering Mass says, always a good sign when the captain aims a gun at the guy, telling him, are you sure about this terrible idea, sir? And Mousicle says, do you read a new book every season, or just whenever you finish a book? Well, this is only the second book, and this is the second season I've done it. So, I don't know. I don't know yet. So far, it's one book per season, but, you know, we'll see how it goes. Welcome, Draco Leech. Yep, the setting up sign is green now. We should probably take that down. I feel like we've set up the stream successfully. I've got my soda. We posted the tipping link. Did we post the tipping link? We are... Wait, did I do the expansion for that extra 20? I don't think I did. So here we go. Did I put it on the board? I thanked Kevin. But no, I didn't put it on the Abacus, and I didn't expand it. I'm sorry, Kevin. I got distracted because, yeah, that's a complex question. So here we go. Expand Joe. Do. Alrighty, have a good night, Nope Queen. Cloaking Wolf says, Ahab may only have one leg, but he's certainly well-armed. Simply Lost says, bro is aggressive. LD says, he keeps the musket loaded on its rack? I mean, you gotta keep in mind, muskets take a while to load. I don't know if he had, you know, he might not have had powder in the pan. He might have just had the ball in there. But firing a musket is a time-consuming process. But yeah, with a musket, you can have the ball in there without necessarily... I guess if you... Sometimes they stuff the charge down before the ball. Sometimes they're breech-loaded. I guess it depends on what kind of... I don't know. But yeah. Yeah, maybe he did have the charge in there too. I don't know. I'm not an expert on antique firearms. So, yeah. Did we post the tipping link? No. Yeah. So that's the next thing I'm supposed to do after I thank people for tipping, is remind others that tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Cursed Chemist says, leaving powder out seems like a bad idea. Either the powder goes off or it degrades so it doesn't work anymore. That was one of the reasons I was thinking, like, I'm not sure if he would have had the powder in there. He might have been ready to add the powder, but I don't know. Maybe. LD says, whatever the most dangerous way to store a musket is, let's just assume Ahab did that one. Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, maybe he swaps out the powder every morning so it doesn't degrade. But yeah, any other thoughts on this chapter from anybody? Dang it, I forgot to bring Axe out here. He's got to be ready in case of whale moments. You might be right, Nex. You might be right. Especially in a marine environment, which would be notorious for ruining musket powder, says Chris Chemist. Yeah, that's true. Mellow Moogle says that was fast compared to the last chapter. Yeah. A little bit. La da 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 da. Da 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 do do do. Is this Fi says, Captain Ahab seems like a very well-adjusted person.
Ken Dreadful says, whale moments is fully sending me. Okay. So, real quick, we got a tip rolling in. Let's see who it's from. It's from Rachel, who tips 10. Thank you very much, Rachel. That gets us now 10 away from the entrance of the Jost. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. If anyone wants to show the Linksy Raiders how the camera expands, now is your opportunity. So I think that the next chapter is actually one of the chapters that Evan Dom has an illustration for. The illustrations from Evan Dom's work were something that we showcased a lot in the earlier streams, but I kind of got away from that later because he didn't put some of the later chapter ones on his website. This one, though, I think is on his website, so let me see if I can pull that up. Okay. Let's see. So we're going to search for Evan Dom Queequeg Coffin. Yeah, this is it. Evan Dom does some of the best crosshatch work of any artist alive today, I would say. I love his illustrations and his crosshatch work. We're going to go ahead and... Yeah, Evan Dom is actually the reason that I read Moby Dick in the first place, because I've always really appreciated Dom's work. He's a cool guy. I met him once at... I think I only met him once, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, he's a really cool guy who took a lot of time to talk to me when I was an aspiring young cartoonist. And his work has always been fantastic. His live streaming of his art was always inspirational to me too. And so, yeah, he did an illustrated Moby Dick that I got when he kickstarted it. And that was why I read it in the first place. Mellow Moogle says, "That holy cow, that's amazing." Oh My Meanie World says, "That's gorgeous." Wonder Mess says, "It's so cool." Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, Dom knows art. Yeah, the lighting in his work is always really... It gives the lighting, as illustrated through crosshatch, just is so volumetrically interesting. It's really impressive. I agree, Jason. Hey, good evening, MJ. I saw that you got your ticket to Tennessee Game Days Spring. I'm excited. Hopefully we can play some TCG there. Simply Lost 33 says, "That's amazing." I know, right? Hey, howdy, Drew Baca. Drew Baca also is like, "Wow, that's amazing." I know, it's such a good illustration. So the next chapter we're going to read is called Queequeg and His Coffin. And that's an illustration of Queequeg, who's covered in tattoos, and his coffin, which we're going to learn more about. Rad Nicole says, "I don't know what I expected from this illustration, but it wasn't that. It's amazing." I know, right? Seriously, flip through that whole Tumblr blog, the Moby Dick Illustrated Tumblr blog that Evan Dom had to promote the Kickstarter, and it's just full of incredible illustrations of the ship, of the crew, of the action in the story. Chalice Puma Soy says, "Wow, that illustration causes all the feels." Yeah, that's the thing, is it's very evocative. On top of everything else, not only is it incredibly technically good, but it's also actually, like, you know, art. It's the sort of thing that captures the imagination and the spirit in a way that's truly powerful. So, yeah. Kevin Zuckley says, I gotta go sleep, but I wish you a good night. Well, we were $10 away from the next face camera expansion milestone, but Kevin Zuckley just tipped 100. So that's going to be 5 face camera expansion milestones coming your way immediately. Please direct your attention down here. Y'all have seen that money goes straight to my head with each face camera expansion milestone we hit, but now, like Jacob Marley, these chains I forged in life are about to begin pulling me down to the deep below. Enter the Ghost. Boom, 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 boom. Lowering the Joe Pasty now to 90%. You might be like, wait, what does that mean? At this point, each additional face camera expansion milestone we hit will be accompanied by a corresponding drop in Joe Pasty. And we got 4 more rolling in. So, numero dos, even larger Jost. La da da da. Lowering the Joe Pasty now to 80%. Numero tres, even more expansions for the spectral face. Da 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 do. Lowering the Joe Pasty now to 70%. Numero quattro. How about some more Jost? La da da da. There it is, the Joni Stark helmet cam, the most obnoxious camera size. Everybody who's tipped up to this point has been making the camera more obnoxious because it's now covering the entire screen. It will keep getting bigger, but it can't cover more of the screen. It won't bleed out around your phone or off your television onto your walls. But we will keep zooming in and we will keep lowering the Joe Pasty. That's the crucial thing. So, for an example of that, here's that next expansion. Ich, ni, san, shi, go, go, go. Expand, Jost. La da da da. Lowering the Joe Pasty now to 50%. Welcome to the T. Joe Eckhillsberg phase. Everyone's favorite Vin Show Ken joke. We are now $10 away from the next face camera expansion milestone. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. And it looks like a tip has already rolled in. Let's go ahead and click on that and see who it is from. It's from Odd, who says, Jost. And so we're going to go ahead and get that 10 on the abacus from Odd. Thank you very much, Odd. So here we go. That gets us to our next milestone evenly. Expand me. Dee. And we are going to lower the Joe Pasty now to 42%. And, okay. That is where we are at. So, have we emptied my boxes? Yeah, let's empty my inventory real quick. And we need to grab some tools. 2 says, Joe, I won't be able to tune into Monday's stream. Thank you for doing what you do. It means a lot to kids like me. Well, thank you. I try. You know, I figure we all just need to pitch in where we can. You know, HermitCraft isn't here to solve anybody's problems. But it might be here to help connect people solving their own problems. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how this goes. I'm very much looking forward to it, though. This is, like I said, kind of experimental. We've had a lot of guests on the past, but they're usually more art-focused and less policy-focused. So I'm hopefully going to do a good job and not embarrass myself. And hopefully this will encourage other people who have serious jobs in cool things to consider coming on the show. And yeah, so we'll see how this goes. I'm cautiously optimistic. So, okay. So, let's see, where was I? Oh yeah. So the next chapter, I posted that link to Evan Dom's thing, but I haven't posted the updated what we're reading link. We need to move to chapter 110 here in the what we're reading link, and I'll substitute that. Replace pin message. Drew Baca says, I've been leatherworking and listening to Words of Radiance, and I just realized it was a stream night. Yeah, we just got to... So,
there's weird, even though I've read this book before, there's some weird stuff in here that, like, I didn't catch the first time. Like, there's a part where one of the chapters we read earlier tonight, Drubaka, Ahab has the carpenter making him a new leg, and he comes down to bother him, and he starts talking all this crazy philosophy stuff, and it's like exactly like when the CEO of the company needs you to do him a favor and like put together a report, and he's like just talking about his worldview or something while you're trying to do your job, and he's asking you weird questions about like why you're doing stuff while you're doing it. But so the thing is, at one point Ahab, this is where Melville's madness really jumps in. Ahab is just like, oh, you know, I wish the real Prometheus was here, because I would just have him make me a new leg. No, not really. I would have him design me a 50-foot tall Gundam. He doesn't have the word Gundam in there, because mechas and Gundams and Jaegers and all that weren't in the zeitgeist. But, like, Melville just has Ahab describe one of those. And how if he could have Prometheus make him anything, he wouldn't ask for a new leg. He'd ask for that. And the carpenter's just like, what? And Ahab's like, don't worry about it, you know. It's like, what? So yeah, I was gonna say, you haven't missed much. That's the only part you missed. But now you're caught up. Is Ahab drift compatible with Moby Dick? See, that's the thing, is Moby Dick is basically a kaiju. So that's the bizarre thing, is not only... So it's not just like, oh man, this is something that Ahab thinks would be cool. Ahab didn't come out and say this. But, Elodie, you actually nailed the implication. The implication is that the reason that Ahab has been thinking about, like, what it would be like to pilot a 50-foot tall robot is because he wants to fight Moby Dick while piloting a 50-foot tall robot. Ahab has invented giant robot fighting giant monster in his daydreams about fighting Moby Dick, which means that Melville envisioned giant robot fighting giant monster in 1850. This is the forerunner, for all you Pacific Rim fans, of all of that. Pacific Rim, always relevant, says Ginny B. This is the first Mecha Kaiju story. Exactly. Or it could have been if the technology existed at the time. Aspirational, honestly. Melville invented kaiju fights. Basically, I mean, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. This book is the most science fiction book that's not actually science fiction. This book is just full of weird stuff from the future. That... I wonder if Melville's family ever sued Toho. Probably not, because I think it would have already been in the public domain. Melville predicted Wikipedia, forum posts, and Pacific Rim. Yep. I don't know what I expected. But this is why you don't read the abridged version of Moby Dick. Because that's exactly the sort of stuff that they cut out. That's exactly the sort of stuff that doesn't make it. I'm apparently getting very loud. My spouse is looking at me. No, okay. Okay. Sir. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. We're just going to chop down these few trees that are kind of in this area here. MJ says, now I'm wondering if the early Gundam Mecha Jaeger stories were directly inspired by Moby Dick. I mean, Dragon Ball Z is basically just fancy Japanese Popeye, so it's not like, you know, nobody's ever stolen ideas or built on ideas from others before. Okay, so let's see. We've chopped down most of the trees in the area. We're going to go take care of that one. What are the earliest Mecha Gundam Jaeger stories? Mecha Gundam Jaeger stories. Was it stuff from Toho specifically, or is that just the first ones that we got over here? Elodie says, genuinely a sci-fi anime that reimagines Moby Dick in a kaiju versus mecha genre would go so hard. Yeah, so you could have the idea that, like, in the... So basically what you would do is you would have the Pequod be, like, the mothership. In the same way the Pequod has 4 boats for the whalers, you would have it be, like, a mothership that has 4 mechs on it. And, like, Stub, Flask, Ahab, and, whatever would be the different mech pilots. And you would have the oarsmen would have to have some sort of analog inside the mechs where each mech would have like 16 guys running around like engineering it. But then Queequeg, Tashtego, and the harpooneers would have to be like the arms of the mech or something. So it would be like the mech pilot would be like, so it would be like Stubbs and Queequeg drift compatibly piloting the mech or whatever. Kevin Zuckley says, it really upsets me we don't have universal health care. I hope I help. And tipped another 100. Well, yes, you did. Because my health insurance went up by $500 a month when I got married and added my new spouse to the plan. So, yes, that actually does significantly help. So thank you very much, Kevin, for an additional tip. Let's do 5 more face camera expansion milestones real quick. Expand Joe. Do-do-do-do. And we are going to lower the opacity now to 32%. Numero dos, even larger jost. Yada-da-da. And we are going to lower the opacity now to 24%. Whoops. Numero tres, even larger face. La 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 la. Boom. And we are going to lower the opacity now to 20%. Numero quattro. How about some more, Joe? Bum 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 bum. The bigger this gets, the more OBS kind of fights me. It takes longer to do each expansion, but here we go. Lowering the opacity now to 16%, and that was 4. So each Nissan Chi, go, 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 expand Jost. La da da da. Still fighting OBS here, and then lowering the opacity now to 12%. Yes, there we go. That gets us 20 even away from the next face camera expansion milestone. Tips are welcome via paypal.me/JoeHills and YouTube Super Chat. Uh-oh, I posted the wrong thing there. Burr, burr, burr. Meowsicle says, what happens when you're just gone? Well, that's not going to happen right away. In $20, we'll drop to 9% opacity. $20 past that, we'd hit 6. $20 past that, we'd hit 3. $20 past that, then we'd go to nothing, and then who knows what could happen. That's $80 away. We don't need to worry about that. I'm not going to stress about that. So, boy, I'm actually really excited about this idea, though, of Moby Dick with Queequeg and Stub piloting a mech while Ishmael and the rest of the oarsmen are running around, like, doing, like, all sorts of crazy engineering tasks inside the thing. Cause yeah, the whole thing just works. It works. Okay. Oh, the 4 whaling mechs reformed the Pequod. See, here's the thing about that though, is there's actually a lot of stuff where the boats need to be found by the main ship. So I think you actually have to have a separate. I think you need a carrier ship. I think in this analogy you need the carrier ship. Because the other thing is too, they also do work on the boats when they're in the main ship in the story. I feel like having a carrier ship and the mechs separately is crucial. Yeah, instead of oil, space whales produce a material that allows faster than light travel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you need the whales to have some sort of material that the people back home want. And these guys are supposed to be out there harvesting it. And so, like, this is a dangerous profession, like mining, but it's a harvest job. And this crazy, charismatic captain is turning it into a absolute, like, adventure, right? Okay, Kevin Zuckley doesn't want Meowsicle to worry, apparently, about what happens when the face camera disappears. Kevin Zuckley rolled in and tipped a solid 80. Boom, 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 boom. That's 4 face camera expansion milestones. And says, okay, I'm really going to bed. Kevin, thank you for carrying the stream financially tonight. Please direct your attention, everyone, to my eye, which if you search in the Minecraft thing here for eyeball, you'll see it blinking. There it is. I spelled it wrong. Please direct your attention to my eye, because we're about to expand Jost. La da 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 da. And we are going to lower the opacity now to 9%. Numero dos, even larger Jost. Wah 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 wah. And we are going to lower the opacity now to 6%. Numero trace, even larger face. Boom 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 boom. Blah. We're going to lower the opacity to 3%, but before we do that, let's see if we are at 100% opacity, how large would that eye be? There it is, 100% opacity. Bringing it back down now to 3%. And then for this next one, we normally play a song when we blow out the camera, but I'm going to do my best because we don't want the copyright strike on the VOD of me reading. So, dear live stream viewers, will you watch my face? It took up your screens, then began to fade. It replaced some pixels from a game you like. Yeah, this is my job, because I want to be a webcam expander. Webcam expander. It's off-color optics from a broken cam, and some of the chat just throws up its hands. The Jost is beetled for showtime now. It's a heady job, and he wants to be a webcam expander. Webcam expander. Webcam expander. Webcam expander. So, hey, thank you very much to Kevin Zuckley for, unleashing me, the Beetlejost. Everybody who's here, everybody wish Kevin well. Hope you lay your head down and dream. Have a great night, man. Okay, so, it's me, the Beetlejost, here in slot 9, putting the hot in the hot bar. Gonna take that abacus, reset it, boom. We're switching over to $50 expansions, because, hey, I'm the Beetlejost and I'm worth it. So, what are we doing here? Let's see. Let me look at this pinned link. Okay, we're reading chapter 110, Queequeg in his coffin. Okay, yeah, I can do that. That seems easy enough. So, upon searching, it was found that the casts last struck into the hold were perfectly sound, and that the leaks must be further off. So, it being calm weather, they broke out deeper and deeper,
disturbing the slumbers of the huge ground tier butts, and from that black midnight sending those gigantic moles into the daylight above. So deep did they go, and so ancient and corroded and weedy the aspect of the lowermost puncheons, that you almost looked next for some moldy cornerstone cask containing coins of Captain Noah, with copies of the posted placards, vainly warning the infatuated old world from the flood. Tierce after tierce, too, of water and bread and beef and shooks of staves and iron bundles of hoops were hoisted out, till at last the piled decks were hard to get about, and the hollow hull echoed underfoot, as if you were treading over empty catacombs, and reeled and rolled in the sea like an air-freighted demijohn. Top-heavy was the ship, as a dinnerless student with all Aristotle in his head. Well was it that the typhoons did not visit them then. Now, at this time it was that my poor pagan companion and fast bosom friend, Queequeg, was seized with a fever, which brought him nigh to his endless end. Be it said that in this vocation of whaling, sinecures are unknown. Dignity and danger go hand in hand. Till you get to be captain. The higher you rise, the harder you toil. So, with poor Queequeg, who, as harpooneer, must face not only all the rage of a living whale, but, as we have elsewhere seen, mount his dead back in a rolling sea, and finally descend into the gloom of the hold, and bitterly sweating all day in that subterraneous confinement, resolutely manhandle the clumsiest casks and see to their stowage. To be short, among whalemen, the harpooners are the holders, so called. Poor Queequeg. When the ship was about half disemboweled, you would have stooped over the hatchway and peered down upon him there, where, stripped to his woolen drawers, the tattooed man was crawling about amidst the dampness and slime, like a green spotted lizard at the bottom of a well. And a well, or an ice house, it somehow proved to him, poor pagan, where, strange to say, for all the heat of his sweatings, he caught a terrible chill which lapsed into a fever. And at last, after some days' suffering, laid him in his hammock, close to the very sill of the door of death. How he wasted and wasted away in those few long lingering days, till there seemed but little left of him but his frame and tattooing. But as all else in him thinned, and his cheekbones grew sharper, his eyes, nevertheless, seemed growing fuller and fuller. They became of a strange softness of luster, and mildly but deeply looked out at you there from his sickness, a wondrous testimony to that immortal health in him which could not die or be weakened. And, like circles on the water, which, as they grow fainter, expand, so his eyes seemed rounding and rounding like the rings of eternity. An awe that cannot be named would steal over you as you sat by the side of this waning savage, and saw as strange things in his face as any beheld who were bystanders when Zoroaster died. For whatever is truly wondrous and fearful in man, yet never was put into words or books. And the drawing near of death, which alike levels all, alike impresses all, with a last revelation, which only an author from the dead could adequately tell. So that, let us say it again, no dying Chaldee or Greek had higher and holier thoughts than those whose mysterious shades you saw creeping over the face of poor Queequeg, as he quietly lay in his swaying hammock, and the rolling sea gently rocking him to his final rest, and the ocean's invisible flood tide lifted him higher and higher toward his destined heaven. Not a man of the crew but gave him up. And as for Queequeg himself, what he thought of his case was forcibly shown by a curious favor he asked. He called one to him in the gray morning watch, when the day was just breaking, and taking in his hand. He said that while in Nantucket, he had chanced to see certain little canoes of dark wood, like the rich warwood of his native isle. And upon inquiry, he had learned that all whalemen who died in Nantucket were laid in those same dark canoes, and that the fancy of being so laid had very much pleased him, for it was not unlike the custom of his own people, who, after embalming a dead warrior, stretched him out in his canoe. And so left him to be floated away to the starry archipelagos. For not only do they believe that the stars are isles, but that far beyond all visible horizons, their own mild, uncontinented seas interflow with the blue heavens, and so form the white breakers of the Milky Way. He added that he shuddered at the thought of being buried in his hammock, according to the usual sea custom, tossed like something vile to the death-devouring sharks. No, he desired a canoe like those of Nantucket, all the more congenial to him, being a whaleman, that like a whaleboat these coffin canoes were without a keel, though that involved but uncertain steering, much leeway adown the dim ages. Now, when this strange circumstance was made known aft, the carpenter was at once commanded to do Queequeg's bidding, whatever it might include. There was some heathenish, coffin-colored old lumber aboard, which, upon a long previous voyage, had been cut from the aboriginal groves of the Lackaday Islands, and from these dark planks the coffin was recommended to be made. No sooner was the carpenter apprised of the order than, taking his rule, he forthwith, with all the indifferent promptitude of his character, proceeded into the forecastle and took Queequeg's measure with great accuracy, regularly chalking Queequeg's person as he shifted the rule. "Ah, poor fella. He'll have to dine." Hold on. Okay, trying to do the old-timey prospectory voice. "Ah, poor fella. He'll have to die now," ejaculated the Long Island sailor. Going to his vice bench, the carpenter, for convenience sake and general reference, now transferringly measured on it the exact length the coffin was to be, and then made the transfer permanent by cutting 2 notches at its extremities. This done, he marshaled the planks and his tools, and to work. When the last nail was driven, the lid duly planed and fitted, he lightly shouldered the coffin and went forward with it, inquiring whether they were ready for it yet in that direction. Overhearing the indignant but half-humorous cries with which the people on deck began to drive the coffin away, Queequeg, to everyone's consternation, commanded that the thing should be instantly brought to him, nor was there any denying him. Seeing that, of all mortals, some dying men are the most tyrannical. And certainly, since they will shortly trouble us so little forevermore, the poor fellows ought to be indulged. Leaning over in his hammock, Queequeg long regarded the coffin with an attentive eye. He then called for his harpoon, had the wooden stock drawn from it, and then had the iron part placed in the coffin along with one of the paddles of his boat, all by his own request. Also, biscuits were then ranged round the sides within. A flask of fresh water was placed at the head, and a small bag of woody earth scraped up in the hold at the foot, a piece of sailcloth being rolled up for a pillow. Queequeg now entreated to be lifted into his final bed, that he might make trial of the comforts, if any it had. He lay without moving a few minutes, then told one to go to his bag and bring out his little god, Yojo. Then, crossing his arms on his breast, with Yojo between, he called for the coffin lid to be placed over him. The head part turned over with a leather hinge, and there lay Queequeg, in his coffin, with but little composed countenance in view. "Rarmai!" "It will do. It is easy," he murmured at last, and signed to be replaced in his hammock. But ere this was done, Pip, who had been slyly hovering nearby all the while, drew nigh to where he lay, and with soft sobbings took him by the hand, in the other holding his tambourine. "Poor rover, will ye never be done with all this weary roving? Where go ye now? But if the currents carry ye to these sweet Antilles, where the beaches are only beat with water lilies, will ye do one little errand for me? Seek out one Pip, who's now been missing long. I think he's in those far Antilles. If you find him, then comfort him, for he must be very sad. Look, he's left his tambourine behind. I found it. Rig-a-dig, dig-dig. Now, Queequeg, die, and I'll beat ye your dying march." "I have heard," murmured Starbuck, gazing down the scuttle, "that in violent fevers men, all ignorant, have talked in ancient tongues, and that when the mystery is probed, it turns out always that in their wholly forgotten childhood, those ancient tongues had been really spoken in their hearing by some lofty scholars. So, to my fond faith, Pip, in the strange sweetness of his lunacy, brings heavenly vouchers of all our heavenly homes. Where learned he that but there? Hark, he speaks again, but more wildly now. "Form 2 and 2. Let's make a general of him. Oh, where's his harpoon? Lay it across here. Rig-a-dig-dig. Oh, for a gamecock to sit upon his head and crow. Queequeg dies game. Mind ye that. Queequeg dies game. Take ye good heed of that. Queequeg dies game, I say. Game, game, game. But base little Pip, he died a coward, died all a shiver, out upon Pip. Hark ye, if you find Pip, tell all the Antilles he's a runaway. Coward, coward, coward. Tell him he jumped from a whaleboat. I'd never beat my tambourine or base Pip and hail him general. He were the one more dying here. No, no, shame upon all cowards. Shame upon them. Let him go drown like Pip, jump from the whaleboat. Shame, shame." During all this, Queequeg lay with closed eyes, as if in a dream. Pip was led away, and the sick man was replaced in his hammock. But now, he had apparently made every preparation for death, now that his coffin was proved a good fit. Queequeg suddenly rallied. Soon there seemed no need of the carpenter's box, and thereupon, when some expressed their delighted surprise, he, in substance, said that the cause of his sudden convalescence was this. At a critical moment, he had just recalled a little duty ashore which he was leaving undone, and therefore had changed his mind about dying. He could not die yet, he averred. They asked him then whether to live or die was a matter of his own sovereign will and pleasure. He answered, "Certainly." In a word, it was Queequeg's conceit that if a man made up his mind to live, mere sickness could not kill him. Nothing but a whale or gale, or some violent, ungovernable, unintelligent destroyer of that sort. Now, there is this noteworthy difference between savage and civilized, that while a sick civilized man may be about 6 months convalescing, generally speaking, a sick savage is almost half well again in a day. So in good time, my Queequeg regained strength and length after sitting in the windlass for a few indolent days, but eating with a vigorous appetite. He suddenly leaped to his feet, threw out his arms and legs, gave himself a good stretching, yawned a little bit, and then, springing into the head of his hoisted boat and poising a harpoon, pronounced himself fit for a fight. With a wild whimsiness, he now used his coffin for a sea chest, and emptying into it his canvas bag of clothes, set them in order there. Many spare hours he spent in carving the lid with all manner of grotesque figures and drawings, and it seemed that hereby he was striving, in his own rude way, to copy parts of the twisted tattooing of his body. And this tattooing had been the work of a departed prophet and seer of his island, who, by those hieroglyphic marks, had written out on his body a complete theory of the heavens and the earth, and a mystical treatise on the art of attaining truth. So, that Queequeg, in his own proper person, was a riddle to unfold, a wondrous work in one volume, but whose mysteries not even he himself could read, though his own live heart beat against them. And these mysteries were therefore destined, in the end, to molder away with the living parchment whereon they were inscribed, and so be unsolved to the last. And this thought, it must have been suggested to Ahab. And this thought, it must have been, which suggested to Ahab that wild exclamation of his, when one morning, turning from surveying poor Queequeg, "Oh, devilish tantalization of the gods!" And that concludes chapter 110 of Moby Dick, or The Whale, by Herman Melville. Once again, I'm the Beetlejuice. I'm down here in slot 9, putting the hot in the hot bar. We are $50 away from the next face camera expansion milestone. And, I hope you enjoyed that chapter there about Queequeg choosing not to die. Daddy Player 1 says, "I tried to read this book once." Well, you should try again. It's a pretty good book. Wanderer Mass says, "The Beetlejuice really brought an extra level of spookiness to the chapter." Iconic of him, actually. Honestly, says My Mini World. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So any final thoughts on this chapter? These streams usually run about 2 hours, and we have managed to just hit the 2-hour mark with the end of that chapter. So we're going to be wrapping up relatively soon. But I hope you'll stick around for a few minutes and chat about any thoughts you have. Daddy Player says I'm more of a Conrad person. That's fair. Good Joe, I guess. It's Impulse JJ says one more chapter. Nope, not tonight. Not tonight. Because, so here's the thing. Is that a lot of times these chapters are kind of grouped in ways that you want to read them together. And the next chapter leads into the one after that and the one after that. Like, we kind of closed out the Carpenter segment there with Queequeg's coffin. And now we're going to go into a chapter, or a series of chapters about the blacksmith. So yeah, we're gonna save all of those chapters for another day. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up this stream probably by going and repairing my elytra and gear here. We got a few pieces of gear that need to be repaired. And we also have several elytras that don't have mending or unbreaking on them yet. So we might want to grab those and take them with us too. Elodie says, good on Queequeg for getting some free storage out of the deal. Yep. Let's see. Going up here. I think this is where we left the extra elytras and mending books. That were a gift from Jevin. Well, here's the extra mending books. Did the extra elytras end up in the golf bag? Or were they in the armor? Nope, they're not neither. Okay, wait. So we've got... Oh, maybe we left them back there. Okay. So we don't want Silk Touch or Fortune. Or we just want mending, basic mending. Okay. So 2 basic mendings. Can we get some unbreaking? That might be in one of these boxes. Unbreaking 3. A lot of efficiency. I really did not sort these especially well. I mean, actually, I'd sorted them fine, but we just don't have very many unbreakings. Okay. Brad Nicole says, if I was that carpenter and I made a coffin just for the guy to decide, nah, I'm gonna live, I'd be upset. Fair enough. I kind of think it was his prerogative to decide he was gonna live, but you know, that's just me. Okay, well... Sneeze McLean says, Moby Dick has 108 chapters, what? I mean, we just finished chapter 110, so your statement is demonstrably false. Okay, did I leave the extra elytras over here somewhere? We might just have to give up on this elytra plan for the nitra. We can just go repair the... We can go repair the elytras we do have. I know I renamed the box, like, Joe's Gifts from Jevin. Did I leave it on the pyramid over there? Maybe I left it on the pyramid. Nope, it's not up here. Dang it. I'll find it. I'm not going to stress. Just not going to find it right now. Okay, so... Wait. There it is. I had it in the box with... Okay. So we're going to take 2 of these elytra. And, yeah. So away we go. Actually, we should probably swap one of these other ones on. How's my voice doing? Pretty good. Hey, we got a tip rolling in. Let's go through this portal and see who it's from. Thank you very much to Hannah for tipping 5, who writes, what are your thoughts on the convalescing differences? Like, did it need to be said, or is it more character development? You know, once again, there's a lot of... there's some stuff in here that's actual racism, and there's some stuff in here that's Ishmael basically calling everybody back home phonies. So I don't think what he's describing is actually, like, a genetic difference, but more of a, you know, like, oh, yeah, a New Englander who got sick might take 6 months to get better. But, you know, this is the reason that they have other people working on these boats. Because they'll recover. The thing is, he's like, yeah. You know, Queequeg was right back to work. But, like, his description of how Queequeg actually got right back to work was Queequeg spent several days lying around after the fever broke, just eating before he recovered his strength. Like, it's not like anything actually magical or anything. It's just like at a certain point, Queequeg was like, okay, I'm going to stop hamming up being sick, you know? Whereas other people might have been, you know, like, I'm going to malinger for a few more days. That's my read of it. It's a cultural difference in terms of responsibility. Okay, one thing we don't have here is we need to put that in the offhand. Okay, so let's go kill some Endermen. Greetings to Morning Chap. Greetings, Wooly and friends. Glad you could be joining us. Oh, wait. Options, music and sounds, hostile creatures off. I didn't bring my sword. Okay. So we're going to want to put this... Let's just finish repairing the axe first, and then that one. So we can swap those out with things that need it more. While we're over here, if we wanted to combine this book and that book, that's 2. And then that plus that. Okay, and then... Oh, wait. If we put the elytra in the table here, can we get unbreaking from the thing? Hold on. I think I have some blue stuff. Hey, Sunny D, cool. I know there's purple stuff, but whatever. No, elytra won't enchant it there. Okay, that's good to know. So that means we do straight up have to go over here with that mending. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead. Those guys are starting to self-destruct from being busy. Let's see. MJ says, I wanted the 4-wheeling mechas to reform into the P-quad so I could make a 4 times quad pun. Got it. Okay, I didn't understand that the first time. Okay, yeah, I missed that. Misread it. Okay. So we are winding down the stream. We've given everybody time for our last call for tips to roll in while we harvest this stuff. Okay. We've almost repaired nearly everything. But there's a lot of stuff that we broke, apparently. Okay, so we're going to be going ahead and we're going to be rating IE Pinball, who's out there at Indisc in California tonight. Anna Neal is at the booth from Hot Nudge, as well as Michael Palero and Preston Curry. They're in the quarterfinals of the Classics tournament. So when you get over there, our raid message is, howdy y'all, Joe Hill's raid here. Thank y'all so much for joining me tonight. I had a fantastic time. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Until next time, y'all, this is Joe Hills from Nashville, Tennessee.